Highlights of Miles Guo's live broadcast from March 31, 2020 to April 7, 2020. 3 damages CCP brings to the world. The CCP virus pandemic allows the countries around the world witness 3 catastrophic damage for human survival and safety on the earth. First, CCP for its internal politics created and spread of this virus to harm the protesters in Hong Kong, yet it went out of control to spread throughout China. The CCP then deliberately spread the virus globally through its convenient transportation with other countries, trying to cover its evil. Second, after the pandemic broke out, they suppressed the pandemic truth and misled leaders, media in the world, controlled the WHO and bought out individual medical experts to lie for them. As a result, countries around the world were on the verge of medical, economic, and social collapse. Third, during the pandemic, CCP exported low-quality masks, fake virus testers, thermometers, and other medical supplies to the world, to save life. Since last week, led by the US, politicians, and media in Britain, Germany, Italy, Spain, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, and Belgium have begun to publicly accuse CCP of its mask diplomacy. Meanwhile, CCP is still pointing the virus source to the US, Italy and other countries. With CCP, no world peace. The only option for Western world is to end CCP. We are the first whistleblower in the world to reveal the news and truth of the CCP virus, its real number of deaths and infection rate in China, the danger and spread of this virus, the bioweapon manufacturing and the P4 lab in Wuhan and its association with this virus, etc. From our program, the Western knew this information for a while, yet because of political and economic reasons, they still chose to believe CCP's propaganda and cooked data. Until today, countries around the world have been hit hard by this pandemic. I don't like the fact that because the West itself suffered a huge loss of thousands of innocent lives, then they come back to say, it proved what we said happening in China is true. This is an insult to the exposed revolution in them. The West's joint extermination of the CCP is a gift to us, nor they are doing a favor for us. It is for their own interests, for their own people to collect blood debts from the CCP. That's what they must to save themselves. If the CCP stays after the pandemic, it will for sure to launch the second and third viruses against the free world for its strategic goals. Per its nature, CCP will never reform itself in the way to fit into the free world. Eliminating the CCP is the only option for the free world. CCP virus is worse than 9/11 plus Pearl Harbor attack. About New York data. The New York pandemic may peak in 4 to 6 weeks. Whether the final death toll in the US is 50,000 or 100,000, it is far more than the total of the Pearl Harbor attack plus the 9/11 tragedy. All Western countries that have been hit hard by the pandemic were too naive to trust CCP's lies about its pandemic data and propaganda, camouflaged as news report. The reason why Taiwan's pandemic is under control is that it never believes the CCP propaganda. It took only 4 weeks for the entire Western society collectively rejected masks, virus test kit and other medical products made in China. After suffering heavy loss, the West now has a comprehensive understanding of the deceptive nature of CCP, its faked pandemic data and its faked pandemic products, disguised nature from the arsonist to a firefighter. Now Wall Street wants to kill CCP, and the U.S. and the Western general public all want their government holding the CCP accountable. It will for sure become a focus in the Western election. New York is suffering from the largest number of CCP virus infections and deaths. Although very sad, as its data is true and reliable, the epidemic will actually bring greater hope to New York in the future. The wide range of virus samples here will provide a significant reliable base for the development of the most effective vaccine. The nation's top medical experts from virology and epidemiology, the most experienced nurses, the most advanced biotech innovation, the best investment institutions, the top pharmaceutical companies, the volunteer team of 200,000 people from the nation, plus the Army, along with the cooperation of various religious organizations, New York City eventually will have the most advanced pandemic detection technology, management, early warning, and emergency response systems in the future. New York will rebirth itself from the Phoenix Nirvana in the world. How CCP will be taken down. In the past, for an 80%-90% chance to overthrow the CCP, I counted on the CCP's internal power. Now I changed my mind. Only 50% hope on them, yet more than 50% expectation will come from the external power, the Western free world. Only when the West exerts the greatest pressure on CCP, its inside power can rise up and disrupt the whole CCP system within. The pandemic has left the US suffering from the most tragic loss, in name of survival of the entire population since its foundation. The threat to the survival of entire Europe, from the royal family to the civilians, exceeded that of World War II. Very soon, the West, led by the US, will certainly retaliate against CCP's biochemical terrorist attacks, from the collective lawsuit, freezing CCP and its officials' overseas assets, to end the status of the Hong Kong Free Trade Zone, even including the beheading of the targeted CCP high-ranking officials. At that time, the world will completely decouple from the CCP-controlled China. Any company that still cooperates with CCP will doom to fail, and all the Chinese stocks in the US stock market will be over. If our comrades in the CCP system still hesitate to rise up to overthrow the CCP, they and their families will have to face the same result of the retaliation. The world is in a war with CCP. Yesterday, the CCP NYC consulate and its National Security Agency ordered someone to call the NYPD, accusing us deliberately stock 100 million masks, hide ventilators and medicines, intentionally stock masks for price gouging business. The subsequent outside investigations conducted by NYPD, FBI and the Homeland Security folks showed that this was maliciously framed and planned by the CCP. The callers may already commit a crime, with all the evidence collected by the law enforcement. On the other hand, this incident made NYPD, the U.S. intelligence community and law enforcement agencies deepen their impression of exposed revolution, the rule of law foundation and the rule of law society, and they are more vigilant to watch CCP's crimes in the U.S. We donated a large number of masks, gloves, disinfectants and other epidemic prevention products to the world. New York City and within the U.S. our colleagues bravely run through on the streets of Manhattan every day, risking their lives, and once again, we showed the world the true image of the integrity, kindness and fearlessness of ordinary Chinese people, fighting side by side with the American people, in front of our common enemy, the CCP and its virus. Per the top-secret information we obtained from CCP insiders, CCP deliberately planned to keep the pandemic peak time in Europe and the US between May and June. The West must pay special attention to various secret operations including intentional release of CCP viruses around the world. Their goal is very clear: to completely defeat Europe and the US with this invisible powerful weapon. Let the West plead for China's rescue when there is no way out, so that CCP can give their one hand for rescue, and on the other hand, demanding European and US to use/purchase Huawei's 5G technology and products, forcing the US to renegotiate trade deal with China. Thanks God, due to the intelligence and reminders of our exposed revolution, within 30 days, Europe and the US completely awakened from the CCP exported fake masks, test kits, protective clothing, and ventilators, and the 30-year reputation of cheap yet high-quality made-in-China brand is now completely ruined. The exposed revolution has been and will definitely help the world save money and save lives. China's second pandemic outbreak is happening every day in a very tragic way. Overseas Chinese, please don't return to China as victims. Like the Nazis, the CCP is creating hatred towards the US and the West. We are in a war with CCP, only in different forms. President Trump will soon use the killer skills to get rid of the CCP, with the most severe punishment. CCP's doomsday is counting down. Thanks for watching and stay safe.